Hey guys, I'm Glenn with DIY Creators, and today I'm going to be making a pocket hole jig station. If you've watched my videos before, you know I use the pocket hole jig a ton. On the right hand side of the pocket hole jig, I have the clamps, I have the bit, and all the other pieces for the pocket hole jig. Also on the left hand side, I have the screws, different size screws for different size compartments, and I do have an open area that's for future storage. For this project, I'm going to use very inexpensive pieces of wood. These are pre-cut at 36 by 16 inches from the local hardware store. Now I've had these on hand for a while and I just thought this was a great project to put them to use. And before I make any cut, I'm going to lay out all my pocket hole jig associated tools and screws just to give me an idea on what I'm doing so that I know how to lay this out to my needs. And being that this wood is soft, it has dents and dings on the end of it, so I'm going to rip off the ends to give me a straight edge to work with. And with all the pieces laid out, I'm going to take the measurement of the tallest tool with some headroom. Then I'll take that measurement to make the cut for the perimeter and all the separators inside. Now the wood I'm using is 3/4 inch, and you can use the same piece for all your screw separators. The only downfall is it would take up more space. However, if you had some 1/4 inch pieces laying around like I do, you can also use those for your separators, and that's what I'll be using to take up less space and also make the piece lighter. And using a table saw, I'm going to create some dado slots to accept the 1/4 inch plywood. Now sit the plywood on top of the hole and trace the other side, and that would give you a line. The blade is 1/8 of an inch thick, so a second pass through will give you an exact 1/4 inch dado slot. It's always a good idea to test cut before making a cut on your final piece. Now if you notice, I made the first bay 1 inch bigger than I did the additional bays, and my reason for that is I have more 1 inch pocket hole screws than I do the additional ones, so I make the slot bigger for the ones that I use the most. Now I'll just continue the same method as I did before and carry it all the way out until I made all my final cuts. So at this point, I've made all my separators and I've cut everything down to size. And now it's on to the area that houses the pocket hole jig. So what you want to do here is take one of the sides and then a small piece of 3/4 inch plywood, then sit that flush to the top of the pocket hole jig. Next, mark the bottom of the pocket hole jig and then take the measurement from that line to the bottom. And this is what your pocket hole jig will be sitting on and keeping the top flush to the top of the workstation. So if you're not good with a tape measure or doing math, this method should help you every time. I mitered the corners on the workstation just to give it a clean look. Any joints in this area will work just fine. And to speed up the process, I'm going to use glue and also the nail gun. Now this part is all based on a personal touch on how you want to use the jig. I'm going to place my jig in the center so I have the same distance on the outfeed on the two sides. Now check to make sure that the compartments are squared. Next, wedge the other compartment up to the pocket hole jig, then mark where the plywood lines up and carry out a line. Now continue the line along the bottom, and I'm going to use the line as a reference mark because I know this is where the wood is on the inside. Next, pre-drill and install the screws. Remember these pieces, I'm going to use these to support the pocket hole jig. And after the jig is installed, I'm going to measure and cut the two doors for the two sides. Next, I'm going to install the 4-hinge. And if you want to save a little money on the hinges, what you could do is just make one entire door that go across and then just cut out the area where the pocket hole jig goes. or you can go with the option of using 2 separate doors. You just have to fill in the back end behind the pocket hole jig. I removed all the hardware so that I can paint. And to finish this off, I'm going to apply silver paint, and I'm hoping that this would match a theme that I have going on in the shop. Alright, with the paint applied, it's time to put this thing back together. The main reason for building a workstation is to support any wood that extend beyond either side of the pocket hole jig. So as you can see here, with no support, it's easy to drill a hole that's inaccurate without the support under it. Now the workstation gives you the ability to work on a flat surface, which make it hassle-free. Now the part I enjoy the most is being able to store everything in one location, because I am pretty bad with losing the pocket hole jig, believe it or not. Be sure to subscribe for more do-it-yourself projects. I'm Glenn with DIY Creators, and I will catch you guys next time.